At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast is now on YouTube. Go on YouTube and search Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast and click that subscribe button to never miss an episode. Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts this week, Wrestling Chris G, and on the other line with me is my good compadre, the one that got lost. Where's Doug? Doug. Hangover joke. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, my man, how you doing?
What the hell?
I don't know. I was pulling it out of my ass. Don't ask. We don't talk about Bruno, Doug.
No, yeah, we don't. We definitely don't talk about Bruno.
So, how you doing, my brother?
I'm good. Got a good episode to discuss.
We got two good episodes to discuss.
But yeah, but they're only going to hear the one.
Yeah, I know. You got to wait for the next one, everybody. Whenever I decide to put it out, depending on this damn schedule, I'm always putting out different shit. People, I be throwing curveballs like fucking crazy when it comes to the podcast. At least on the free feed. If you got Patreon, there's more of a schedule. But when it comes to the free feed, you get what you get because we got a lot of shit recorded.
Since you brought it up, yeah, we got two good episodes to discuss. We had the official debut of the
new theme song, which is a banger, can confirm. I told you that does it not bring you back to when they finally switched up the song and you're like, oh, ooh, okay. And you're getting all the new Pokemon, and this was right before Gold and Silver were coming out, and you're looking at all these fresh new faces, and it was nice, right?
Yeah, and had a couple of good episodes right off the rip. You got a new character, you got storylines you cared about right away, as and they kind of threw you in head first to the Orange Islands here in these first two official episodes. So
they got you prepped quick. And there's some, well, I guess it's in the second episode, but there's something to say about this Tracy character.
Yeah.
Because they went straight from Brock to him, and I kind of feel like they were kind of throwing a few punches in this. Like, man, you thought you were getting rid of Brock, but we're bringing in another one that's going to be kind of just like him in a way.
Well, yeah. We'll get into it. I mean, there is some pretty sizable differences, but yeah, we'll get into it for sure.
Absolutely.
Second episode, so stick with us on that one.
For real. And then, of course, we're going to have I have two Brilliant Stars trading card packs sitting right in front of me that we are going to open. One for this episode, and who knows, you might even get in the middle of the episode a random stoppage, and I might read the damn I might read the code in the middle of the episode. Who knows? I don't know. You might have to listen to the whole episode to figure that out.
keep everybody on their toes.
People are like, oh, damn. They're making us work for it now. Well, since when do we got to work for Pokemon?
I think people forget that we can get kind of granular on the stats of our listens.
For real. Ooh. Oh, I just opened the pack. I don't know what the card is at the end, but I got a black card.
Ooh.
So already, everybody, it's already going to be a good episode. Whatever this last card is, I'm going to put this down, and I'm going to make sure I'm nice and surprised by the end of this episode. But I do have the code card sitting right here. So whenever I feel like going ahead and putting that code on out there for you, you have to listen and keep your ears perked for it, and then you'll figure out what rare card I got at the very end of this podcast. So, but all right, but today's episode, everybody, is episode 86. This episode premiered February 18th, 1999, and here in the States, January 22nd, 2000. And it is titled The Lost Lapras, or translated from Japanese, Save Laplace. So I'm guessing Laplace is the name of Lapras in Japanese.
That I think that's a safe bet.
Yes. So, but yeah, we got the episode already up and going, but right before we get into the episode, Doug, it's been a good week since we've recorded. How are you? What's new with you? Is anything new going on in Doug's life?
What do you mean? Well, it's been a week since we recorded, but I was just with you all day Saturday.
Yeah, I know that. I was gonna get into that myself. I was asking how are you doing?
I'm here.
Yes, everybody. So the crew got together this past weekend along with a lot of family, and it was my daughter's birthday. Well, birthday party. Her birthday was last week. And we all got together, all the kids did their own thing and was bad as hell, to say the least. Sorry for any friends that are listening to this episode, but yeah, the kids did their own thing. The parents sat around, drank a lot, and did their own thing, and it was nice. It was a nice little outing, and then the next day we got rained on like half the day, and it was muggy and just nasty out.
Yeah, well, there wasn't a lot of going outside for me. I was pretty much. I mean, not like I was wiped from Saturday, but I was like, I think I'm just gonna kick it today.
I don't blame you, bro. I really don't. I wish I could have. I was back up the following morning to go and kind of help take down all the tents and everything from the day prior, and then got to go see Doctor Strange later on that afternoon / evening. That was fun. That was a good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie.
Nice.
Yes. I will give that movie a thumbs up. No spoilers here on this podcast, even though you're not hearing this for a while. But yeah, no spoilers here. We don't do that when it comes to Marvel. Maybe when it comes to DC a little bit, but not when it comes to Marvel.
I mean, by the time they're hearing this, Quantum Mania might be getting ready to come out.
Probably at the rate that we are releasing these episodes. I did make a big change to our Patreon because we are officially at the peak right now where if you join our Patreon, everybody, this is kind of a plug, everything is a month in advance on there as of now. So if you're listening on the free feed, go ahead and you think you're all the way caught up, you are nowhere near caught up, my friend. Go and jump on our Patreon, patreon.com/every Pokemon. You won't regret it. You'll get to hear episodes a month in advance or more. Especially when we have specials and stuff that go out on there. You'll be hearing that way in advance. But yes, we are now at the peak with you listening to this episode where you get an extra four episodes. So if you're on the free feed, you at least, as of this moment right now, have 4 extra episodes on our Patreon. So there you go. Yeah, I know. Ain't that great, Doug?
I love it.
I know. I love it too. So, all right. Outside of that, I think that's enough kind of jibber jabber. It was a couple minutes there. Are you ready to get on into this episode, bro?
Absolutely.
All right. I'm powering it up right now, and I'm trying to get past the theme song real quick. I had no idea that this theme song was this long.
I'm telling you, man, the Kanto, both versions of their theme song, they have no chill, and they do it off the rip. They're not like Black and White, where it's like, oh, it's 2 minutes into the episode. Here's the theme song.
Well, they were smart back in the day. I mean, well, a lot of TV shows do that these days. Like, what's a show? Like I watch Dynasty on Netflix. I watch. They still do it to this day with Pokemon. They do it with Power Rangers. Whenever my son does watch Power Rangers. It seems like all the shows, Fuller House, which I don't recommend watching. They do it on there. It's just like all the shows. They literally throw you into the show, and the new thing now is, all right, we'll put the theme song in like 2 minutes into the episode, and if you have like Netflix or something, there's that nice little nifty button that says skip intro. So yeah, I just click that button every time.
I'll give them the first episode, but anything past that, I'm skipping.
Yes. And I just recently, and I know we said we were getting into this episode. I just recently got into this show called Doctor Who. And boy, they were ahead of their time. They start you off with the episode, and this was back in the early 2000s, and then you get the theme song like 5 or 6 minutes into the episode.
Oh yeah, so that is very modern.
Yeah. So but yeah, I'm working my way through a bunch of Doctor Who. I currently got through 1 season in 1 week, so I'm hoping to keep that trend up and got my son into it. So
nice.
Yeah. All right, but we started this week's episode with a complete recap, Doug, of the first 2 episodes of, I guess, the season before they transferred over to this new theme song. To the point where we last left our heroes, Team Rocket, put a cage over our heroes in the freshly built blimp, and the blimp goes down and crashes. And then from there, our heroes kind of wake up. They make their way out of the blimp. Ash and Misty, Togepi and Pikachu, they have no idea where they are. And Ash is like, where are we? And Misty's like, it looks like we're in the middle of nowhere. And Pikachu's like, huh? And they're just looking around. We get the title sequence, The Lost Lapras. And they're just walking through this forest. And Misty's like, Ash, can't we just take a little break, as if you wasn't just sleeping for like 5 hours inside of that blimp after it freaking crashed? But Ash is like, all right, fine. Misty kind of drops to the ground, groans a little bit, and Ash thinks it's kind of weird. He's like, man, this is really weird. We've been walking for miles and we haven't seen a single person. Misty kind of gets worried. She's like, maybe we're on a deserted island. She's like, oh my gosh, we're on a deserted island. We're trapped. Now we'll have to eat bugs and berries for the rest of our lives. And Ash is like, well, berries can be very tasty. And then we get a bunch of tourists. Doug, you want to take it from here?
Yeah. So the tourists come up. They don't even pay Ash and Misty any kind of mind. They essentially throw them out of the circle, and they're just taking snapshots of Pikachu and Togepi, and Pikachu's like, "Well, this is just strange," but I don't want to hurt these people because I don't want to be liable for nothing. And Misty's just on the ground going, "Where did all these people come from?" And Ash is like, "Oh, it's too bad this place isn't deserted." He's just laughing. He's having a good time. And Misty's like, blah. And then we're immediately basically thrown into Pokemon Park. Because Ash and Misty come walking and they're greeted by
two women in coconut bras.
I was gonna say hula garb, but yes. And
sorry, people, sorry.
and we get to see Ash and Misty getting laid.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
They do no. You
yes,
can't put a different term on that, Doug.
they're getting lays put around their neck. They're getting laid.
Okay. There you go. Yes. So when they get the garnish put over their neck, that's the term. But the way
where the hell is C-Note? He'd be pissing his pants.
I know he'd be pissing his pants right now. But you had to put a different context on there because we're talking about two 10-year-olds at this point. Well, and then from here, Misty's like, well, Ash, it looks like we picked a fun island to crash on. And Ash is like, yeah, it doesn't look like we have to eat any bugs here. And Peach is like, yeah, thank God, because I was going to eat you. And this is where the episode takes a really, really huge turn.
100%, 180-degree turn, like like not even a little bit, just wham.
Yeah. So the episode, okay, so as we've been presenting this, it's been a nice, fun episode so far. And then all of a sudden, we look down and we see 3 trainers in a huge Lapras sitting on the land, and the Lapras is crying. She's like, "Arr, arr." And the trainers, they're like, come on, Lapras, get up and get moving, you stupid lump. And this one of the trainers is like, you better listen or else. And then you see him pick up his stick and like thrash it down. You hear smack. And Lapras like, yeah!
This concerns me because I have a feeling that in the Japanese version, just by virtue of watching the Safari Zone episode via the Japanese version, I think we might have actually seen that Lapras get struck.
Yeah, probably.
That's terrible.
And Lapras is picking her head up, and she's like, ah! And Ash and Misty start running over, and they're like, hey, you guys, quit hitting that Lapras. Why don't you leave that Lapras alone? Doug, I'm going to switch this on over to you.
And then Lapras is like, some backup. And then they're like, oh, who asked you? And they're all, open shirt, cargo pants and shit. Like, what are you little brats sticking your nose in our business and telling us how to raise our Pokemon? Yeah, we're tough, but we got spiky hair, and I got a do-rag. So we're getting ready for our battle against the Orange Crew. Now get lost. And Misty's like, I can't believe you two. You 3 are Pokemon trainers. And Ash is off in La La Land because he heard Orange Crew, and he's like, Orange Crew? he's like, and then one of the tough guys is like, yeah, this will teach you to stick your nose in our business, kid. And he gets ready to throw a Pokeball, and they throw out a Spearow, a Hitmon, uh, Chan, and a Beedrill,
Yes.
and they're like, now go and show these twerps what a real Pokemon battle looks like. And they're about to charge, and Pikachu jumps off of Ash's shoulder because he's badass. He's gonna take him on
Single
by
handedly.
himself, right? And Misty puts Togepi in her knapsack.
And Togepi's like, I don't want to go in here. I want to look out and see what the hell's about to happen.
And Pikachu's in midair, and all of a sudden, from off screen, you hear "Hold it!" And the three bad guys Pokemon stop in mid run. Our first view of Tracy, and he's like, "This will only take a second," and he's doing like measurements on the Beedrill and the Spearow and the Hitmon Chan, and oh, you can tell by the color of this Spearow he's not getting his vitamins, and he could lose a few pounds, and he's like, the coloring on this Beedrill is pretty poor as well, and you can clearly tell that this Hitmonchan isn't getting enough exercise, and he's just like, I mean, you got a little mini John Rickles over here, and he's like, just as I expected.
He said,
he said it's easy to see that these Pokemon are pitifully underdeveloped, and
just all like nonchalant about it. And I wanted to throw out because, and I don't know if they did this on purpose. Do you remember that Las Vegas episode, Doug?
I remember it in terms of I remember watching it, but I don't.
Okay.
I don't think I could.
Think of that drunk guy that kept running into Ash and James in that episode. Does the guy in the red flannel look just like him?
Oh,
Does he not?
Yeah, kind of. Which would make sense because you probably only have so many background characters in the character folder.
Yeah, I mean they don't make reference to it on Bulbapedia because I actually looked to see if it was possibly the same guy, but he has the same accent, looks the exact same, and I'm like, oh, okay. And they totally missed the opportunity with the guy with the green hair with having an electric Pokemon because when I see that hair and that shirt, I think electric Pokemon. Why the hell did they give him a Spearow? Like pirate
and a Spearow at that. I mean,
not even a Pharaoh. Like they gave pirate guy a Beedrill, the guy in the red flannel that looks like he's the leader, the Hitmonchan, and then you got weak old little Spearow. Like, come on. They basically looked at him and was like, all right, we'll give him the bitch ass Pokemon.
So the jackasses, as I'm gonna call them, because we don't see him again in a few minutes. They're like, "Oh, who made you the expert?" And Tracy just walks over. And he doesn't even give them like a second glance or anything, and he's like, "This Pikachu, on the other hand, is perfect, and you can tell by how shiny its coat is." And Pikachu's like, "Well, okay." And Ash is like, "Dude, you just took my own Pokemon off my own head. What are you doing?" And he takes out his sketch pad and he's like, "I just want to make a quick sketch. Hold still." And Pikachu's like, "Okay, this is new." And he's like, "Looks like your Pikachu's electric sacks are in great shape." And he's like, "Hey, I could even give you a measurement of its output." And he holds a couple of electrodes up to its cheeks. He's like, "Now give us a thunder shock." And Pikachu's like, "If I shock you, we're all going down." And then we go back to the idiots, and they're like, "Hey, we were about to have a battle, And now this guy comes in and tells us we don't know shit all about training, and now they're just ignoring us. Well, we can't be having that. And they send their Pokemon back at him, and Pikachu in full battle mode goes, "Hey, just fuck off, why don't you?" And just hits them all with a, I'm assuming Thunder Shock. Um, and everybody gets fried. And Tracy, who is still holding the electrodes, goes, "Hey, that's pretty good." And he falls over. And the idiots run away. Their Pokemon close behind them, and Ash is like, "Great job chasing them away, Pikachu."
And then from here, Tracy, he gets right down next to the Lapras, and he's like, "Oh man," he's like, "I think this Lapras may be really, really hurt." And Ash and Misty are like, "Oh no!" And they walk over, and Tracy's like, "Here, it's medicine." And Ash is like, "Hey, but what do I?" He's like, "You get that Lapras to take it right now. I'll go find Nurse Joy." And he's like, "Hey, wait!" And he looks down at it, and it looks like a potion from the Pokemon game. And he goes and gets down right next to Lapras, and he's like, "Drink this, Lapras." And Lapras is like, "No." And that's like, "It'll make you feel better, Lapras. Come on." He's like, "Drink it. Come on." And he kind of pokes the little needle over by the mouth. And Lapras is like, "I said no." And she like headbutts the medicine out of his hand. And Pikachu goes over and catches it and kind of almost fumbles it. And Missy's like, "Are you okay?" Because Ash starts holding his wrist as if he kind of hurt it a little bit when Lapras hit him. And Ash is like, "I wonder why Lapras won't take anything from me." And then we get a close-up look of just Lapras just looking like she's in a whole lot of pain. And then the screen kind of pans up and we kind of fast forward. It looks like maybe about an hour or so. And we're at the Pokemon Center, and Nurse Joy with a blue cross says that Lapras is going to make a full recovery. They have a big old pool in the backyard of this Pokemon Center, and Lapras is in there sleeping all genuine right now. Doug?
And well, I'm a little disappointed because I wanted to know how they got Lapras to the Pokemon Center in the first place.
Probably by truck. By truck.
I mean, you would assume if Tracy went and got Nurse Joy probably has seen this before, especially being on the water like they are. So yeah, Nurse Joy's like, "Well, there is a problem though, because this Lapras is afraid of any kind of contact with people." And and Misty's like, "Well, that makes sense considering the way those idiots at the beach were treating her." And um and Tracy's like, "Yeah, it's terrible, especially considering that that's a Lapras, that Lapras is an infant."
Yeah.
And
A fucking baby, which kind of I mean, it makes me mad, but it's supposed to make me mad. But I was so mad when I found out again that this Lapras was a baby, bro. And the way that they were beating this Lapras.
And Tracy's like, "It must have gotten separated from its school during our latest storm, and oh, it's by itself." And they're like, "Boy, it sounds like you know an awful lot about Pokemon." And then this is the first time we hear the term, because Tracy says, "Well, you do learn a lot from being a Pokemon watcher."
Yes. And this is kind of similar to what was the character's name from the Kanto region um that was a Pokemon watcher?
Oh, goodness gracious.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's fine. I'll look it up. But he's very similar to the Pokemon Snap guy, the one that kind of made an
Oh,
appearance.
oh, for goodness sakes. It's not Richie. Todd.
Yes. Okay, Todd. And he's very similar, but he doesn't. Tracy doesn't take pictures; he draws them.
Yes.
So big difference between the two. But I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead
Oh,
and
you didn't
continue, bro.
interrupt me. And they're kind of kind of like probably I assume the audience are like a Pokemon watcher, and Nurse Joy is apparently the fountain of knowledge on Pokemon watchers because she's like Pokemon watchers travel the world and they go looking for all different types of Pokemon, and we see Tracy kind of in the wild with his sketchbook, and yeah, she says they mark down the characteristics and the abilities, and they search for new and undiscovered Pokemon. And she's like, so that's why you were taking all those notes. And Ash is like, oh, well, I guess, we've been in this episode for, I'm going to say 6 minutes because the first minute was the theme song and then the next minute was a recap. So he's like, I'm Ash, and I'm going to be a Pokemon master. And he's like, and this is when we officially get his name being Tracy, and Misty's like, I'm Misty, and it's nice to meet you. And they do like a kind of a goofy 3-way hug. And Ash is like, now why don't the three of us try to get Lapras back with its friends?
And then from here, we have 3 children run into the Pokemon Center. And they're holding a Sandshrew, a Voltorb, and a Starmie. And they run in, and all of their Pokemon are hurt. And they're like, my Sandshrew got scratched, and all of our Pokemon are hurt. So maybe they can stay here for a day, maybe. And they're like, please, Nurse Joy, my Starmie needs help because I want to challenge the Orange Crew. And that's the second time that in this episode we didn't really allude to it too much with the bad guys at the beginning, but they were trying to get Lapras up because they wanted to take Lapras on to challenge the first Orange Island's gym leader. And Ash is like, well, what is the Orange Crew? And Missy's like, don't you remember, Ash? Those 3 guys on the beach, they said something about battling the Orange Crew too. And he's like, yeah, but I wonder what it's all about. And then this is when Tracy comes in, and he's all perked up, and he's like, I'm going to be Brock for an episode. He's like, he's like, so the Orange Crew is what everyone here calls this group of gym leaders on the island from the Orange Archipelago. I said it. Oh my gosh, I was so worried I would not get that word right. And Missy's like, gym leaders? And Tracy's like, trainers can't compete in the Orange Island League until they have won until they battle everybody in the Orange Crew. And then we get a close-up look of a poster, and the poster has what looks like 4 badges, and they're all circling around a really huge Pokeball. And you can tell they redid this scene because the Orange League is in Japanese when they're looking at it at first, and then when they kind of pan out, they change the wording at the bottom to Orange League. And Ash is like, I didn't know there was a Pokemon League here in the Orange Islands. And Tracy's like, Tangelo Island's the place everyone starts out training. He's like, then the trainers have to go around and beat every gym leader in the Orange Island crew before they can go and battle in the Orange League. And then from here, Missy's like, man, that sounds like you have to be a pretty good trainer to be training out here in the Orange League. And Ash is like, I know exactly what you're thinking, Misty. I have to challenge the Orange Crew. And he takes the freaking GS ball in his hand just to call him out. And Doug, I'm gonna hand this part over to you.
Missy's like, we don't have time to hang around that. We got to get that GS ball back to Pallet, and so Professor Oak can study it. And Tracy's like, did you say Professor Oak? And and Ash is like, he never said we couldn't make a few stops. And she's like, "Oh yeah, well let's come over here and get his answer." She takes him by the ear because Brock's not here, and they get Oak on the video call, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm glad to see you're both okay. I was getting worried, hadn't heard from you in a while. Um, Professor Ivy told me you all had left on a blimp. Um, I hope you didn't get in any trouble." And Ash is like, "We're okay." Didn't mention the crash, which I think is kind of shitty.
Well, I kind of figure if he talks about every time that he crashes into something, Professor Oak will be like, "All right, I think you need to come home before you die, Ash." Just saying.
Yeah, you got to get your mother out of my house, for goodness sake. She keeps coming over, being all worried.
Yes. I finally got you to crack a joke before I said.
No. Well, yeah, but you went about 10 steps ahead of where I went.
Yeah,
She just comes over because she's a worried mother, you pervert.
Bullshit.
Professor, it's a kid's show, remember? It's a kid's show, remember?
It is a kid's show, but Professor Oak was putting in some work on that single mother. Just saying.
You listen here. You crack that kind of joke. If my joke from earlier gets censored, I'm quitting the show.
All right, continue, bro.
So he's like, and the GS ball is okay by the way as well, and he holds it up, and he's like, and we're going to be back real soon. And Oak's like, "Oh, that's fantastic." And Oak is like, "Well, where are you calling from, by the way?" He's like, "We're at the Tangelo Islands." And Oak's like, "Oh, the Tangelo Island," and Ash is like, "Well, if you don't mind, there's something I kind of want to take care of while we're here." And he's like, "I want to." I want to compete in the Orange League. And Oak's like, "Oh, the Orange League, eh?" And he's like, "Is that okay, Professor?" And Oak's like, "Well, I have a feeling that regardless of what I say here, you're gonna do it. So I might as well give him my blessing, so I don't have a guilty conscience or anything." And
freaking Tracy jumps in.
Ash is like, "No, that's later."
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Ash is like, "Attaboy, Professor." And like, I guess it's important that you keep up your training on your journey. And Ash, and he specifically says, keep up your rigorous training during your journey. And Ash, before they hang up, he's like, "Sounds good, Professor. And next time we talk, I'll find out what rigorous means as well." And they hang up, and Tracy just, "Wow! I can't believe I know two people that know Professor Oak." And Ash is like, "What's the big deal about knowing Professor Oak?" And
Pikachu's like, "Yeah."
She's like, "Well, he's a nice guy, but and then Tracy like gets in her face, and he's like, "He's one of the greatest Pokemon experts
in the whole world."
He's like, I knew Ash was like, "I knew Professor Oak was famous or smart, but I didn't know he was famous as well." And Tracy's like, "That's it? You've got yourself a new traveling
buddy." He's like, "I'll stick with you. If I stick with you, I'll finally get my chance to meet my hero, Professor Oak." And Misty just gets mad. She's like, "I had Ash all to myself." She's like, "You can't just invite yourself to come over here and come with us." And then Nurse Joy just breaks everything up. She's like, "Good news. Lapras is awake and doing fine." Just to change the mood altogether.
We get the "Who's that Pokemon?" and we find out that the Pokemon is Ninetales. Why is it Ninetales? I don't know.
Because Ninetales is not in the next episode, but we also have a code to give away. MJWBG2ZDY2 6JX, everybody. All right, let's continue the episode.
Even.
What's up?
Didn't even give a drum roll or nothing.
Nope. They got to be listening, bro. Stay on your toes, man. Stay on your toes. But we come back from commercial break, and we have Ash, and they're like, "Come on, come over here to the truck, Lapras. Come on, we're gonna go and take you to go see your friends again." And Pikachu's like, "Yeah, Pika, Pika," and Lapras is over here just crying, and they're like, "Man, Lapras is still scared of people." He's like, "Well, there's got to be something we can do to get this Lapras to relax," Tracy says. And Ash is like, "Yeah." He's like, "You know what I'm going to do?" Missy's like, "Uh-oh, what are you going to do, Ash?" And Ash is like, "I'm going to sing it a lullaby." And they're like, "No." And Togepi's like, "Yay, a lullaby." And he's like, "Singing lullabies helps little kids calm down, so maybe it'll work on Lapras too. I guess it's worth a try." Misty goes, and just gives her the wink, and he's like, "Just wait and see." And then he gets a random microphone, and then Jigglypuff jumps into the frame. Doug?
And Ash is like, "Well, tell to do what, Jiggly?"
Just funny.
And Jigglypuff's like, "Oh well, fuck you then. I'm gonna sing by my," and starts to sing, and she's like, "I wanted to sing," and he passes out, and then we get Misty is hanging out of the truck. Pikachu is basically got its back half elevated. Togepi is shrunk into the egg, doing a little bit of weeble wobble. Lapras is asleep in the water. And it's peaceful, and Jigglypuff finishes its song, and smiling, and everybody's snoring, and Jigglypuff pops up with her motherfucker, takes the
just so mad.
Takes the cap off of
Off of her
marker, and Ash wakes up, is like, "Good morning," and we see the markings all over his and Pikachu's face. Togepi's got like cat whiskers, which, how did that happen? Togepi was folded in on itself.
And I have a way that could have happened. So the way that Togepi, so are you looking at Togepi right now?
Mm.
So the way that Togepi sleeps is it puts its arms in and it puts its feet in, but the head itself just curls into a little ball. So the face of Togepi is never really covered.
I see.
There you go.
Good catch. Fair enough. And we see Misty's got like a mustache and some exaggerated eyebrows, and wakes up, and we see that Tracy's got cat whiskers and a mustache as well, and we see that Jigglypuff drew on its sketch, and we're back to trying to get Lapras in the truck. And Misty's like, "Oh, Lapras still isn't budging." Stands up and gets into determined mode. He's like, "We got to get Lapras back in the ocean," and like holding out its arms, going, "Come on, Lapras, into the arm!" Like it's gonna be that simple. And he's like, "Well, fuck it, I'll come to you then." And he jumps it with his shoes on.
And not even just his shoes. Why does Ash take off his jacket if he's going to get everything else wet?
The hat.
And the hat. Of course, but, it's championship hat. He can't get that one.
That's a collector's item, yeah. And he swims down, and Lapras is like, "I could stay down here, you can't," and has to like kind of tap out and like come back to the surface. And he's like, "Can't you tell that we're trying to help?" And he's not mad, he's just like frustrated because like he's legitimately he's honestly trying to help. It's not like Ash trying to help before, where he's just been making the situation worse. Like he actually has solid intentions. And Lapras has just been so burned by those idiots on the beach. Because who knows?
She don't trust nobody.
Well, right. And I mean, we just saw when our heroes came upon them. We don't know how long they had been doing that to Lapras. And then we see a target locking onto Lapras from an aerial shot, and we see like a smoke bomb. Then we get the reappearance of Team Rocket.
I felt so bad because it was at this point, bro, Ash might have been getting through to Lapras.
Yes.
And Lapras is like, all right, maybe they are good guys and not everybody's bad. And as soon as Lapras is like, okay, I'm gonna put my guard down, boom, right in front. And Tracy's like, what the hell is going on? He's like, what's happening? Team Rocket laughs and like, prepare for trouble and make it double. And Ash is like, God damn it. And Team Rocket goes through their spiel and they don't get interrupted. Ash could have stopped them and just been like, really, guys? Seriously? It like now of all times for you to throw a damn thing over here? And Team Rocket is standing on top of Lapras. So in this whole thing, this makes no sense, but it's a kid show. So they threw down their little smoke bomb. They were able to pick up Lapras, get Lapras on top of a truck, strapped down, might I add, and they're getting ready to take Lapras away. And all Tracy can think of is he's just standing there. He's like, a Meowth that can talk human language? Oh my goodness. And he just runs over. He has a microphone in his hand and he's like, Meowth, can you please say something for the Pokemon Watcher Archive? And he's like, what should I say? He's like, maybe you can answer a few questions. And he's putting the microphone up to Meowth. And Meowth is like, well, I usually don't do interviews unless they've been cleared through my talent agent. And freaking who was it? Jessie just takes her foot and just puts it right on Meowth's head. And James is like, can't you see we're busy here? He's like, who are you anyway? And he's like, sorry, my name is Tracy. And he's like, I'm a Pokemon watcher. And then Jessie's like, okay, well, if you're a Pokemon watcher, then you won't mind stepping aside and watching us steal this Lapras.
Wasn't a bad line.
No, it wasn't. It was kind of good. And Ash is just jumping out of the water. He's like, no, you're not. And James throws out his Weezing to do Smog attack. And Weezing's like, Smog. And then they as soon as the Smog hits everybody, they are inside of the truck and they're driving away with Lapras. Doug?
And they're like, we can't let them get away with Lapras. And Tracy's like, I know a way we can track them. And he throws out his Venonat. And like, use your radar eye to track that truck. And we get a zoom in on Venonat's radar eyes. And we can see like little scam bars. And we see the truck. And Venonat starts hopping off. And he's got him. And we're back in the truck with Team Rocket, and like, the boss isn't going to be expecting this. Just wait until we drop this Lapras in his lap, which again, another clever line. Maybe too clever for Team Rocket, but what are you going to do? Lapras is struggling in vain against the ropes, and Jessie kind of leans her head out the window and quit your complaining, you big baby. And then we hear from off screen, we hear Ash go, there they are, and we see that they've got bikes
out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
And Ash is just going after this Lapras, and Lapras looks like it's starting to get sympathetic towards Ash.
And Jesse looks at James and is like, "Step on it and hurry." And James kind of pedals down a little bit, and Ash is like filling with everything he's got, and he leaps, and he's able to grab onto Lapras out the back of the truck, and like, it's okay. We're gonna get you out of here somehow. And Pikachu's like, yeah. And Ash jumps off of Lapras's back onto the roof of the cab, and he pokes his head in. Tracy and Misty just leave them behind. They're like, oh, this is fucking exhausting. And then we see that they're literally like having a freaking 5-way fight in the cab of this truck. And James is somehow still steering. And then Pikachu says,
straight out of a Marvel cartoon with Ash being Spider-Man and just getting on the inside of this damn truck.
Pikachu just says, fuck this, and lets a thunder shot go. And in the process of getting fried, James's elbow hits this button that unhitches the trailer, and
which lets go and just starts bashing into the front of the truck. Which I don't know if that would even work like that, but yeah.
Well, it would, because they're going down an incline.
Okay.
So even though the trailer would be separated from the cab or the trailer would just immediately catch back up to the cab, and it would just be bang. So, oh god, I lost my place.
No, you're good. So, Ash climbs out of the head of the truck and goes back over to Lapras as Lapras's hitch is just smacking up against the front of the truck, and then Team Rocket finally gets to a part on the incline that they're going down, and there's a big old hill, and then all of a sudden they just fly off into the sky, and Team Rocket is blasting off again. And that's the last of Team Rocket that we see. But of course, Ash, Pikachu, and Lapras take a different route, still following the road going around. And now they're about to fly into the water, and Pikachu's like, oh no. And Ash gets onto the side of the hitch, and he's like trying to like pull it so they're not going to fly off the hill. And Ash ends up somehow with his 10-year-old body like maneuvering this thing to where it doesn't fly off the hill, and it goes around the turn. But Ash looks like he is just tired. He has pooped. And it's at this point they're about to go on to another part of the incline going down, because it looks like they're going around in a circle. And Ash looks over and he's like, oh no, we're about to really go into the water. And Tracy's looking on with binoculars, and he's like, oh no, they're about to go into the water. And Ash is like, gotta make it turn again, come on. And Pikachu gets on the side, and Pikachu's like, oh no. And then they just fly off the hill, and Lapras is released from the ropes. Ash is flying, Pikachu is flying, and they're just diving. And Ash grabs a hold of Lapras, Pikachu grabs a hold of Ash, and Ash is like, we'll stick together, right, Lapras? And Pikachu's like, Pika! And Lapras is like, yeah, we'll stick together. And they fly into the water, they splash. And then from here, we go to, and it's now dusk time. And Doug, I'm going to let you wrap up the rest of this episode.
So, Tracy, Misty, and Venonat have been combing the beach, trying to locate Ash and Pikachu and Lapras, because they haven't been seen since they hit the water. And Tracy's like, are you sure they're around here, Venonat? And Venonat's like, yeah, I done tracked them. And all of a sudden, Venonat kind of peeks up because we see a shape on the horizon, and it turns out to be Ash and Pikachu riding Lapras, and Missy's like, "It's Ash and Pikachu. They made it okay," and they're like, "Way to go!" And Togepi's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," and um, Ash to Lapras, Ash says, "You put up quite a fight, Lapras," and Lapras kind of gives it a little nuzzle, and Ash is like, "But I caught you anyway," and he does his little, Ash catch him peace sign, and Tracy's like, "Did he say caught?" And the "caught" on the caption is in quotation marks, and Misty's like, "Yeah, he likes to dream." And
Misty just cutting them down wherever she can.
And we see Ash, or not Ash, we see Pikachu and Togepi are kind of playing on Lapras like a slide, a ball, and Nurse Joy has met them on the beach, and she's like, "It looks like Lapras has decided it wants to go with you," and Ash is like, "That's right, we're going to travel the Orange Islands," and she's like, "I'm sure you're going to treat it very well," and she's like, "Damn right," and except unless I want to just give it up for no reason, and but we don't talk about Butterfree.
But Butterfree don't come back for another 12 years.
And Trace is like, "I'm going to be with him too," and Ash is like, "Well, I guess we're ready to go," and get the GIF essentially from
Professor Juniper.
The first theme song with Lapras raising its head up with Togepi and Pikachu on top. Is it in the first? Yeah.
Yes.
And Nurse Joy's on the beach waving them, goodbye, and we get the narrator, and that's the end of the episode.
Yes. And the narrator basically narrates us out and says that Ash is about to go and try to accomplish the Orange Island League. And that's where we're left here. And very, very good and insightful episode, Doug.
I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I mean, it was a nice reset, but it wasn't like a complete reset. I mean, they were like, "Hey, the last two episodes mattered. They're on the islands. We're going to explain to you why the Orange Islands are important. We're going to give Ash a Pokemon right away, which we don't find out he officially catches until next week. I mean, because he officially caught it, but until next week, you're wondering, you're like, is this an arrangement or did he actually catch? Well, you get the answer next week.
Yes.
And we find out that they've got a new traveling buddy as well. So this is just a solid episode all the way around.
Yes, it is. And that was the end of this week's episode. Doug, what would you give this episode, the official first Orange Islands episode, on your Doug-O-meter out of 5 stars?
I'm very confident in giving this episode a 4.
I was about to say, yeah, I was like, the only thing we didn't really get in this was a gym battle or an evolution, but the story itself was so good, and everything, all of the emotions that came with this episode, I'm okay with a 4. I'm good with a 4 myself.
Yeah.
But all right. Outside of that, I do have the Pokemon cards right here, Doug. What energy am I getting ready to look at, Doug?
Water.
It is water. All right.
Hey.
Woohoo! There you go. So I have a water energy, a Morgrem, a Claydol, an Executor, a Gibble, a Turtwig, a Trapinch, a Piplup, a Shroomish. My reverse holo is a Manaphy, and my rare is a Dusknoir. All right, that's a nice little card right there. So there we go. That is my cards for this week. Do you have anything else to add for this week, Doug?
Oh, I don't think I do.
All right. Well, if you didn't catch the the code, go back and listen to the episode because I did say it in there. Other than that, say goodbye, Doug.
Hi, Doug.
And this is Wrestling Chris G telling all of you, I can't wait for you to hear next week's episode. It's a good one. Have a good night, everybody.